Hi everyone! So today we are going to do lesson 9.1, which is using exponents. Your objective for today is to write and evaluate numerical expressions involving whole number exponents. So what we're going to talk about first here is evaluate. What the word evaluate means is just solve. So we're going to find some numerical expressions, which are really just number sentences involving whole number exponents. And so this exponents is what we're really going to focus on first. So using exponents, we're going to do this here. It's just repeated multiplication of the same factor. This is called a power. You'll see them written as an exponent and a base. It'll look something like this. So 7 to the third power is how we read that. It means that it's the product of 3 sevens. So remember that the word product means multiplication. We are multiplying. So when we look at this, we see that our base number is 7. Oops. And it is being repeated 3 times. So we take the base number 7 and we're going to write it out 3 times. 7, 7, 7. So we've written 7 3 times. And then we're going to multiply those. So we're multiplying 7 times 7 times 7. And this is your shorthand for that, 7 to the third power. So what we're used to here is if I were to repeat 7 3 times and add them, it's the same as multiplication. Our base number is 7 and it's being repeated 3 times. When the plus sign is in the middle, that would be just written as 7 times 3. When we have multiplication in the middle, so 7 is repeated 3 times and it's being multiplied, it looks as 7 to the third power. So it's a shorthand way of repeated multiplication, just how multiplication is a shorthand way of repeated addition. So when we read exponents, there's multiple ways that we can actually read this. So when we see 6 and there's a little floating 2 here, we can read that 6 squared. We only say squared if our exponent is a 2. We can also read it as 6 to the power of 2 or 6 raised to the second power. But that little floaty 2 is the only time we say the word squared. When we see a little floating 3, we can call it cubed. So this would be read as 7 cubed. We can also read it as 7 to the power of 3 or 7 raised to the third power. But again, the little floating 3 is the only time that we get to say the word cubed. And then any other number that's floating, it could be a 9 to the 4, a 9 to the 5th, a 9 to the 17th. We would read it as either 9 to the power of 4, 9 to the power of 5, 9 to the power of 17, or 9 raised to the fourth power. This would be 9 raised to the fifth power, 9 raised to the 17th power. Moving on to our next slide here. When we find the value of a power, the exponent indicates how many times to use the base as a factor. So if I see 5 to the third power, this would be written as my base, which is 5, repeated 3 times. So I'm going to write down the number 5 3 times. And then remember that exponents is repeated multiplication. So I'm multiplying. To actually solve this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work down. So I know 5 times 5 is 25. So I've used these guys up. I need to bring down that times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 20 is 100. So this would be 125 would be what that is equal to. So 5 to the third power is 125. Please notice that I did not do 5 times 3. That is a common mistake that we make. That is not correct. 5 to the third power means that I have to multiply that 5 3 times. The property of 1 as an exponent. So any number raised to the power of 1 the value of the power is equal to the base. So if I am raising it and that power here is 1, it is just simply the same as what is here because 1/3 is being repeated 1 time. So my answer here would be 1/3. And same over here. 88 is being repeated 1 time. So my answer is 88. We also have a property of 0 as an exponent. Now, normally when we think of 0 as an exponent, hide this, extend my page, we would think, oh, it's 0 because 6 is repeated 0 times, but that's not actually true, and I'm going to show you why. So if I have 2 to the 3rd power, 2 to the 2nd power, 2 to the 1st power, and 2 to the 0 power. We know that 2 to the 1st power, anything raised to the 1st power stays the same, right? 2 repeated once is 2. 2 to the 2nd power would be the same as, and I'll kind of do my scratch work over to the side here, 2 times 2, which I know is 4 because 2 is repeated twice. 2 times 2 is 4. So my answer here would be 4. 2 to the 3rd power, 2 is repeated 3 times, and I'm multiplying. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, would be 8. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at this pattern. If I look here and I say 8 to 4, we divide by 2. 4 to 2, we divide by 2. So if I continue with this pattern, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So actually, any number that is raised to the 0 power is simply 1. So it doesn't matter what your base is. It could be 1/2 to the 0 power. Our answer is always going to be 1. So it doesn't matter if it's 22.4 to the 0 power, 1. Or if it's 379 to the 0 power, it's going to be 1. So when we use an exponent to write an expression, what we're going to do is we're going to find what number is being repeated. So in this case, 3 is the number being repeated. So 3 becomes my base or my big number. To find my exponent or my little floaty number, I'm going to count how many times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my exponent is 3 to the 5th power, the 5th being my exponent. So now here I see that 4/5 is actually being repeated. So 4/5, the fraction, is my base. My exponent would be 1, 2, 3, 4, because 4 is being repeated, or 4/5 is being repeated 4 times. Now, if I want the fraction to actually be multiplied, I have to make sure I put that into parentheses. Now here, I see that my base is 2, but it's only repeated 1 time. So I'm going to have a little 1 up in the corner. On your homework, you are going to have problems that look like this. So I want to see, my answer is 25. So I want to say what number repeated twice equals 25. So if we're looking at this, I see that I need 2 repeats because my exponent is 2. So my base, now remember that this number and this number have to be the same number. So I say what times itself is equal to 25. Now I know that that is 5. 5 times 5 equals 25. So that means that my base is 5. Go ahead and pause the video right now and try 8 and 216. So first I notice that it's being repeated 3 times. So I need to have my base 3 times, and that's going to equal 8. Now that's a pretty small number, 8. So I know that my number here has to be pretty small. So I can try some different things out. I know that 3 times 3 is 9, so that's already too big. So I'm going to do 2. I know 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Which means that the number being repeated, or my base, is 2. Now again, I see that my base is being repeated 3 times. So I'm going to give myself 3 spaces and say 216. So I know that 216 is a lot bigger than 8. So I know that my base is going to be larger than 2. So let's see, if I did 3 times 3 is 9 and 9 times 3 is 27, that's much too low. So I'm going to try something bigger. I know that, let's go up to 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125. So that's still too low. So I'm going to try to go a little higher. We're going to try 8. 8 times 8 is 64. 64 times 8. So I know 8 times 4 is 24. 8 times 6 is 32. And that's a 60. So that's already too big. So I'm going to back it down. We're going to try 6. So 6 times 6 is 36. We need to multiply it by 6 again. So 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 30 is 180. We add those together and I get 6 and 20, nope, and 8. Oh my gosh, 11, my bad. So I get 216. So I see that my number being repeated is 6, which means that that is my base. Next, we have the opposite. I want to know how many times does my base need to be repeated to find my exponent. So I know that 4 times 4 is equal to 16. So I see 4 as my base. It's the number being repeated, and it's repeated 2 times, which means that my exponent is a 2. Go ahead and pause the video and try to find 81 and 512. So I see that my base is 3. So I'm just going to start.
Last call for anything that Bryce and Barnett might need. Please come down in the next 5 minutes.
Sorry, guys. Sorry about that interruption. I don't know how to pause this video. So 3 times 3 is 9. That's not big enough, right? 9 times 3 is 27. Still not big enough. 27 times 3, if I need to do some scratch work, I can come over to the side. 7 times 3 is 21. 6, 7, 8 is 81. So I found my answer here, 81, 81. So I see that 3 is repeated 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So my exponent here would be a 4. And again, now I see that 8 is my base, so it's the number being repeated. So I know that 8 times 8 is 64, which is not big enough. So I'm going to do another one. I might need to do some scratch work. 64 times 8. 8 times 4 is 32. 6 times 8 is 48, plus 3 is 51. So 512 is my answer here. So I see that my base number 8 is being repeated 1, 2, 3 times. All right, so at this point, we are going to stop and do some whiteboards together. Then this will be your homework assignment. So if you need to write this down in your planner or on your to-do list, you are going to start on page 241. You need to do 22 through 24. So that means that you also need to do 23, 33, 35, 37, and 38. That will be your homework. And at this point, you can turn off your Chromebook and start. There it goes. Well, we're going to do whiteboards together. All right.